My name is Sajithra. I hail from Trivandrum. I am taking this covenant for the first time on 4th February. Before embracing this covenant, I first learned about Mother Mary in January while in Trivandrum RCC. At that time, my husband was battling cancer, and I was handed a Crayopasnam paper by someone. However, I wasn't emotionally prepared to read it, so I kept it aside. On another occasion, during a checkup trip, I received another Crayopasnam paper, which I also didn't delve into. The third time, while waiting for an MRI scan report, a kind lady gave me another Crayopasnam paper, and this time, I accepted it with gratitude, intending to read it when I found a moment of peace. The tension during our stay at RCC was overwhelming, with constant worries about the outcome of my husband's illness. Although I am Hindu and had little knowledge about Christianity, I found solace in reading the testimonies of others, which strengthened my belief in Mother Mary. In moments of despair, I turned to her in prayer, not with elaborate rituals, but with a simple plea for my husband's recovery. My husband returned from the Gulf, after 4 years, due to his advanced stage cancer, left us shattered. Seeing him unable to speak after years of separation was devastating beyond words. When we went to the doctor, he informed us that it was already in the fourth stage, so there was no need to say anything more. I nodded, also prayed a little bit. The doctor explained that chemotherapy wasn't an option at that point and prescribed some medications. During our second visit, the doctor suggested starting chemotherapy. Due to the urgency, they initiated treatment with a shorter gap than usual, admitting him immediately. Each chemotherapy session lasted for 5 days, and visitors weren't allowed to stay with him. Sadly, I noticed that the patient in the adjacent bed didn't survive. With each visit, I couldn't shake the uncertainty of whether I'd see him alive again. Yet, I always tried to reassure him before leaving. The first round of chemo lasted for 5 days, followed by another session a month later. Though I prayed to Mata, I admit my faith wavered at times. Surprisingly, the doctor later suggested surgery, contradicting his earlier prognosis. Overwhelmed, I turned to Mata for solace, despite being miles away from Alappuzha, where her shrine is located. The journey to Alappuzha was unexpected, and I never imagined I'd be making vows there. I was unfamiliar with the concept of covenant until then. We scheduled the surgery for 16th January and admitted him on the 13th. As bystanders weren't permitted, I waited outside, where I met a lady around my age. In our conversation, I mentioned my devotion to Mata. Being a Christian, she handed me a small image of Mata, urging me to hold it tightly, saying, "If you have faith in Mata, she won't let you go." Clutching the image of Mata tightly, I accompanied my husband to the surgery the following day, urging him to pray to her. The doctor cautioned me that the extent of the surgery's impact on his organs would only be known during the procedure. Despite the uncertainty, I consented to the surgery, relying on faith to carry us through. After the surgery, the reality was stark. My husband's tongue had been completely removed, along with 2 thyroid glands and 5 teeth each from up and down on one side of his mouth. In that moment of shock and solitude, it was only Mata's presence that sustained me. With 3 children to care for, I found strength in her divine guidance, navigating through the ordeal with her grace. On 17th February, while I was at the hospital with my husband after surgery, my mother visited the doctor due to severe leg pain. They applied a plaster cast and sent her home. I felt torn between caring for my husband and being there for my mother, who was now immobilized with her leg in a cast. In the confines of our home, with my husband recovering in one room and my mother in another with her leg injury, I turned to Mata in prayer for guidance and strength. Despite the ordeal, I held on to hope and faith. I made a vow to Mata believing in her divine intervention. Miraculously, within a week of the surgery, my husband began to speak a little bit, even without his tongue. It was a moment of profound awe and gratitude, affirming my faith in the power of prayer. Soon after, I learned about the opportunity to take a covenant. Although it seemed like a logistical challenge, my daughter selflessly took on the responsibility of caring for both my husband and my mother, enabling me to fulfill my spiritual commitment. However, the situation at home remained precarious, with my mother's mental anguish worsening due to her physical pain and feelings of being a burden. Concerned about her well being, I hesitated to admit her to the hospital, knowing that no one would be able to stay with her. Instead, I resorted to giving her sleeping pills to ease her distress. Despite my fears, upon returning home after taking the covenant, I found my mother calmly watching TV, a stark contrast to her previous state of despair. Astonishingly, she refused the sleeping pills I offered, expressing her newfound ability to sleep without them. Since that transformative moment, my mother has not taken any more sleeping pills. Her resilience and recovery have been nothing short of miraculous. She no longer relies on medication and has regained her strength, defying all expectations. Reflecting on our journey, I am convinced of Martha's presence and her unwavering support for. After the surgery, when we met with the doctor, he advised us to commence radiation therapy, comprising 30 sessions. It was an arduous ordeal, having to undergo radiation daily and return home. His neck bore the brunt of the treatment, displaying bruises and cracks. The suffering was so severe that he contemplated death as a release from the agony. Even during those trying times, I sought solace in prayer to the Divine Mother. Every morning at 5:30, I beseeched her, my supplications filled with desperation, feeling utterly alone and incapable of facing my responsibilities. I couldn't bring myself to go to work, pleading for strength to endure. I instructed my children to join me in praying to the Divine Mother, lighting a lamp daily, emphasizing the importance of our faith in her during this trying period. She was our sole source of solace and hope. Last month, on the 28th, we completed the radiation sessions and consulted with the doctor. He conveyed that his illness was nearly cured, requiring only regular checkups. Despite this positive development, mere words of gratitude seem insufficient. Presently, I've traveled from Trivandrum by car to be here, grappling with uncertainty over how to finance this journey. Our financial constraints weigh heavily on us, yet our determination to be present here remains unwavering, regardless of the cost. During my stay at RCC, I witnessed the dire struggle many patients faced for food. Some had been there for over a month, forced to rely on donations brought in by others. Sundays posed an additional challenge as the canteen remained closed, exacerbating the scarcity of food. Moved by their plight, I resolved to prepare 25 food packets every Sunday, even if it meant sacrificing for my own family. Rising at 5 o'clock each morning, I labored over the stove to cook, ensuring the meals were ready by 7 a.m. Witnessing the gratitude and happiness on the faces of those I served made every effort worthwhile. It was a small gesture, but one that felt like the least I could do in service to my faith and to those in need. I've come here today to share this testimony, to affirm that the Divine Mother is always with us. 8 months ago, my friends told me to fulfill my husband's last wishes, and as I stand here now, I am with the same person they spoke about. Through every trial and tribulation, the presence of the Divine Mother has never wavered. She holds on to us steadfastly, guiding us through every challenge and triumph.